What's up, everyone? Welcome into Indiana Basketball Weekly, presented by Big Ten Plus. I'm Brianna Ballog alongside Noel Fary. Noel, what a win for Indiana. Although they were favored to win, it was still a surprising win and beating the #1 team in the country.
You know, I'll tell you what, Brianna, there was no one in the country that believed more in this team than the Hoosier faithful themselves. And they showed out in Assembly Hall. That place was booming.
Right, well, Noel, Indiana played some great basketball. What do you think was so effective? What do you think was clicking?
You know, I think Jalen Hood-Schifino had just such a huge part in this game. He shot over 50% from the field. He was creating his own shots. He was getting the big buckets when he needed to. He has just been such a great piece for this Hoosier team. And then on the defensive side for Purdue, those two freshman guards, Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith, they only shot 25% from the field. It was just such a huge stage for a team with two freshman starters.
Right, and Indiana came out really strong, arguably probably one of their best starts to the season, and the energy fueled the offense with secondary transition baskets that built runs that got players like Zach Edey into some foul trouble. But speaking of Zach Edey, how about those future NBA stars, Edey and TJD?
I mean, it was a clash down low for sure. 33 and 18 for Zach Edey is unheard of, honestly. But Trace got his, too. He got 25, and they had to use him in some interesting ways. Some lobs, took a couple jumpers even, and it just wasn't as easy for him getting those buckets in the paint, especially because of Zach Edey, but just a great battle.
Right, and taking a look at the rankings now, Purdue is still at #1. Indiana moved up 3 to number 18.
Yeah, I think that just goes to show how much the committee has faith in these teams and sees the bigger picture. IU was favored to win the Big Ten at the start of this year. Let's not forget that. And right. Purdue, with a loss against Indiana, it's not going to sway the voters too much.
Right. These teams will have to face off again later this month. On Saturday, Purdue's defense had an interesting take in Indiana's offense. Here is Zion Brown to break it down. Zion, how are you?
The post matchup between Trayce Jackson-Davis and Zach Edey drew a lot of headlines after IU's 5-point win over Purdue on Saturday. But what really changed the game and decided the game was the ball screen actions when Indiana was on offense. Let's take a look. You see here in the first half, Zach Edey is guarding Trayce Jackson-Davis, and he is in a drop defense. Jalen Hood-Schifino gets that screen, and he's able to turn the corner, looking ahead to Trayce Jackson-Davis, a great lob threat who throws it down. In the second half, what happened is now we have Zach Edey no longer guarding Trayce Jackson-Davis. He's on Race Thompson, and that allows Mason Gillis, who's guarding TJD now, he gets to come out and hedge. It stops Hood-Schifino from getting downhill. It's given to Race Thompson for a poor, highly contested shot, easy rebound, easy possession for Purdue. Same thing here in another possession in the second half. You have right here, Caleb First is guarding Trayce Jackson-Davis. He's going to come out and show really quickly. Zach Edey, once again, camping out in the lane. So even once the ball gets to Trayce Jackson-Davis on this possession, Zach Edey is right there, ready to pounce and contest a shot. Another one-and-done, easy possession. So this is right after a timeout, and Indiana comes out and says, okay, we're going to change the way we're doing things. Trayce Jackson-Davis is obviously IU's best player. Everyone knows that. But the best matchup for Indiana was still to attack Zach Edey, even though he wasn't on Trayce Jackson-Davis. So now they bring Race Thompson into the action, and it's a drop for Zach Edey, and that allows Jalen Hood-Schifino to turn the corner for the easy pull-up, and then this is the game-deciding bucket. Same thing, Trayce Jackson-Davis is not even involved in this play. They get Race Thompson and Zach Edey in the action, and Jalen Hood-Schifino once again turns the corner. This time he gets all the way downhill, initiates the bump with Zach Edey, and finishes. This was a very interesting tit-for-tat between Indiana and Purdue in this ball game. Purdue did not want Edey directly guarding Trayce Jackson-Davis in those pick-and-roll actions, but Indiana was able to adjust late to get a few key buckets in the pick-and-roll game. When these two teams play again in January, it'll be extremely interesting to see how that battle goes and who is guarding who in what situations.
Thanks, Zion. Appreciate your insight as always. Now, let's play a game called Buy or Sell. I'm going to give Noel 5 scenarios, and he's going to either buy, which means he favors the idea, or sell, meaning he doesn't like the idea. Noel, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, first up. With Xavier Johnson back, IU is a top 10 team.
I'm going to sell on that one. You know, to be honest with you, Brianna, and this might be a little controversial, I don't think Xavier Johnson really makes this team that much better when he's on the floor.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Tamar Bates has had the biggest improvement on the team.
I'll buy that. You know, I think he gets the main points off their bench for them. He's just taking the right steps necessary. The confidence is there, and he is such a spark plug for this team.
Okay, now Trayce Jackson-Davis as National Player of the Year.
I'm going to have to sell it. I mean, he is having a phenomenal year, a historic year for IU,
right.
but Zach Edey is just too dominant, just overall.
Indiana makes it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy that. You know, I think the Stars finally have aligned. These Hoosier fans, year in and year out, are so confident in their team, and it doesn't always work out. But I think this year they'll find success in March.
All right, looking ahead to tonight's game, Indiana goes 2-0 this week, tonight against Rutgers and Saturday against Michigan.
Yeah, bye. I think the loss against Rutgers to start off the season left them with a really bad taste in their mouth.
Yep.
They're back in assembly. This crowd is loud. And even though they're playing on the road against Michigan, I think they get it done.
Well, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us. To stay up to date on the Indiana Hoosiers, check out at Indiana on BTN on Twitter. We'll check you back here.